So let us write down the value of alphas that we can find out. So alpha 1 is found to be minus a into 1 plus cotangent hyperbolic of Peclet number divided by 2h. Alpha 2 turns out to be a times cotangent hyperbolic Peclet over 2h over h actually, and alpha 3 turns out to be a times 1 minus cotangent hyperbolic Peclet of 2h. So with this, the optimal scheme that would give us the exact solution can be written like this. So a over 2h of 1 minus cot hyperbolic Peclet number times u j plus 1 plus twice cotangent hyperbolic of Peclet number times uj, and then minus 1 plus cotangent hyperbolic of Peclet times uj plus 1. This is equal to 1. So this is the ideal scheme that can give us the exact solution. Of course, one doesn't know where the exact solution in all the cases, and therefore one doesn't know what the exact scheme should be. Okay? But this is a good way of troubleshooting that why the Galerkin method or the central difference method doesn't work. So let us use that to understand our problem right now. We would like to rearrange this in two possible ways. So let me call this as scheme D. So rearrange D in two ways. The first way is that we will retain the structure of advection term in central difference, and somehow change whatever needs to be changed in the diffusion term. In the second method, we are going to retain the structure of the diffusion term and alter the advection term. So it is the same scheme number D, but we will look at it in two different ways. So let us do that. So the first one, I am going to rearrange the scheme D in the following manner. So we will maintain the advection term. So the first term is A times uj plus 1 minus uj minus 1 divided by 2h. But the second term, the diffusion term, we are going to write it as nu plus nu bar, and the diffusion term is uj plus 1 minus twice uj plus uj minus 1 divided by h square is equal to 1, where nu bar is given as beta AH by 2, which of course can also be written as beta times nu times the Peclet, and beta is defined as cotangent hyperbolic of Peclet minus 1 of Peclet. Okay. So, what we have done is we have retained the advection term as in the central difference, and we have changed the diffusion term, and in fact we have augmented the original molecular diffusion with some other coefficient, and that has been defined like this. Okay. So, this is the exact scheme, and you would get back the Galerkin scheme if nu bar is 0. So, note nu bar equal to 0 gives the central difference slash Galerkin scheme. So, this is one interpretation. The second is we are going to retain the diffusion term as is, but we are going to alter the advection term. So, we are going to rewrite equation D to do that, and that looks like this. So, you would get 1 minus beta by 2, and this would be A times uj plus 1 minus uj by h plus 1 plus beta by 2 times uj minus uj minus 1 by h minus a nu times, we will retain the diffusion term as in the central difference. So, this stays j plus 1 minus twice uj minus uj minus 1 by h square equal to 1. So, let me call this as E, and let me call this as F. Beta is exactly the same as defined earlier. Let me draw for you what beta looks like, and then I will give you the interpretation of these two methods that we have. So, beta looks something like this. On the x axis is the Peclet number, and on the y axis I am going to plot beta. So, this is value 1, this is value minus 1. So, let me just draw these bounds. This is minus 1 and this is plus 1. So, the curve looks something like this. This is the curve, and actually this value is somewhere around minus 3 and this value is around 3. So, one can even draw the double asymptotic curve something like this. So, this is the double asymptotic approximation. So, roughly speaking, the value of beta can be thought of as the red line. So, for Peclet number greater than 3, I am sorry, this is roughly 3. So, this is roughly, this value is roughly 3. So, for Peclet number greater than 3, beta is 1. For Peclet number less than minus 3, beta is minus 1, and in between minus 3 and plus 3 you could have a linear approximation. Okay, so that's the doubly asymptotic approximation for beta. Okay, let's now come back to these interpretations E and F. So first let us look at E. The method E shows us that the Galerkin method or the central difference method doesn't seem to have adequate diffusion to give us the exact solution, and maybe that's why it actually goes unstable and gives node to node oscillation. So if you would like it to perform well and give you the exact solution, then you need to add something called nu bar, which is given by this expression, and this interpretation is that it's an artificial approximation. So this interpretation is that nu bar corresponds to artificial diffusion. It is also known as numerical diffusion. So what is being said is that the Galerkin method does not have enough diffusion, and therefore you actually need to add something extra to it and make it stable, and that would give you the correct answer. Okay. So one can design what is the value of nu bar, and in fact that is given by this. So you can read beta off from this table. Okay. So what we can say is that as your Peclet number changes, you can add the correct amount of diffusion, artificial diffusion. In fact, you can see that the artificial diffusion is a product of these three quantities. So when Peclet is very large, then you would have to add, so beta becomes +1. So then you would have to add a numerical diffusion that would be simply given by this number nu times Peclet. Okay. When your Peclet number is largely negative, that means the advection is in the opposite direction, the negative x direction. Then again you can add an artificial diffusion of the right sign, and in between you can do a linear interpolation. Okay. In fact, there are methods which people have come up with to show that the Galerkin method has negative diffusion. So let's discuss that. So we'll talk about the negative diffusion of the Galerkin method or the central difference. So one can show, so we can show that the Galerkin method or the central difference method actually solve the following equation. So that's given as A times u comma x. So the advection term is same as before, minus nu times. So instead of the operator, simply u comma xx equal to 1 and this coefficient being 1, you can show that this would be something like, I am sorry, I should put the square bracket outside, nu minus nu bar times sine hyperbolic square of Peclet divided by Peclet square, which actually corresponds to A u comma x minus nu times phi u comma xx equal to 1. So one can show that because we are discretizing, it effectively multiplies this molecular viscosity by this factor phi, and one can plot the factor phi. So this is phi, and I can plot it with the Peclet number and see where does it go negative. And in fact, what one can show is if this value is 1, this is 0.5, this is 0, then the curve looks something like this. I am just sketching it for you. This is around 1.2, this is around 1.4. So, between 1.2 and 1.4 somewhere, that means for a Peclet number slightly larger than 1, this actually becomes negative. So, you would get a negative diffusion. Right. So, that is why we get node to node oscillation in the Galerkin method, because effectively when you use the Galerkin method, you have, by virtue of discretization, modified your original system and you are solving for a system with negative diffusion, and that is unstable. As you know, negative diffusion is unstable. Okay, so what lesson we have learned from this is that if you still want to use some kind of a Galerkin method or a central difference, then you can actually augment the viscosity with some kind of an artificial diffusion, and that artificial diffusion, if you can find exactly, that is fine, otherwise you can actually use these ideas and come up with an estimate. So, that is one interpretation. Now, we move on to the second interpretation about the advection term. So, here we leave the viscosity term exactly the same, and we now study the advection term, and that is very interesting. What is being said is the following: if my Peclet number is very large, a positive Peclet number, suppose my Peclet number exceeds 3, then my beta is a plus 1. What that would do is this term drops out. This 1 plus beta by 2 becomes 1, and I am actually left with this term uj minus 1. So, let me remind you what our grid is. This is point j, this is j plus 1, this is j minus 1, and this is my advection direction A. And what is being said is that if I want to approximate A times u comma x, then I am better off in approximating it as, I am sorry I missed an A here, I am better off in approximating this as A times uj minus uj minus 1 divided by h. So, the information is flowing in this direction, and I must respect the flow of information. This is an advection dominated flow. So, information is going to go from left to right. Okay. So, I must have node. So, if I am taking a derivative at the point j, the advection derivative, then I must use values of points which are upstream of it, not the ones which are downstream of it, because the information has not convected there yet. So, that is what I am able to see for A in the positive direction. What happens if my A is negative? So, I draw the same mesh again, j plus 1, j minus 1, and this time my A is negative. So, it is in the minus x direction. In that case, if I have a very large advection in the opposite direction, then my Peclet number, let us say, is smaller than minus 3. So, I get beta as minus 1. Beta minus 1 means this term drops out and this becomes 1, and I am left with this approximation for A u comma x. So, what is being said is that A u comma x can be approximated as A times u j plus 1 minus uj by h. Okay. Now, here the information is propagating from right to left. Again, I must use my derivative by using information from the upstream direction, not the downstream. Now the downstream nodes of j are j minus 1, j minus 2 and so on. The upstream ones are j plus 1, j plus 2 and so on. So what is being said is that always take information from upstream. So when you are approximating the advection operator, then information should come from upstream and not downstream. And that is why the name we call as upwinding. Okay. So to summarize, if you want to use a simple finite difference method or you want to use a Galerkin method, there are two ways of coming up with a method that actually works in advection dominated flows. A, you can add artificial diffusion, because we have just seen that a central difference method seems to produce for Peclet number larger than 1, that means for advection dominated flows it actually produces a negative phi or a negative diffusion. So you must add some extra diffusion to be able to give a stable method. That is one way. If you do not want to do that, then perhaps you can tweak the advection operator, and the way to do that is via upwinding. So in the upwinding method, you are going to convect the information by respecting the physical direction. So use information from upstream. If the flow is, let us say, in this direction, you are going from right to left, then you use your u comma x by basing it on these nodes. On the other hand, if the information is travelling from left to right, then you need to change your operator so that you are again using upstream information. So you are at node j and you use information from nodes j minus 1 and further upstream. Okay. So these are the two ways. Now the outcome is the same, but on the face of it, upwinding seems like a more presentable option, because when you say you are adding artificial diffusion, the feeling it seems to give is you are modifying your original equation, the flow equation. Okay. So you've just added the artificial diffusion, and it appears as if you are solving some kind of a problem with more diffusion added to the system. The upwinding seems a little bit more easier to come to terms with, because here there is no artificial diffusion, you are simply respecting the flow of information. Okay. Both these are acceptable methods. The catch here is that this was a very simple case of a 1D problem where we know the exact solution. So if you go to more complicated problems, you do not know the exact solution, and therefore you cannot construct schemes from the exact solution. Okay. In the next session, what we are going to look at is how are we going to tweak the Galerkin method and take the learning from here. One is about the upwinding and the other is about numerical diffusion, and then use that to come up with a Galerkin method or a modification to the Galerkin method that actually can give you reasonable solutions. So thank you very much.